This is a quick subjective noise comparison between the GTX 1060 Founders Edition card and some of the previous Founders Edition cards. The 1070 is one of them that we show. We also show the RX 480. And then we've got this that I'll throw in there as well. That's the MSI GTX 1060 Gaming X. Before getting to that, this content is brought to you by MSI and their new X99A gaming motherboards, including the Gaming Pro Carbon and Titanium, which are built for Broadwell E. So we did one of these videos with the RX 480 where we're basically showing, we've got objective benchmarks. We already published the decibel numbers that show how these things perform in comparison to each other when these cards, like the Twin Frozer cards, spin down to 0 RPM because they're under no load. The noise floor kind of shows itself, and that is in the form of this power supply fan and this very slow and quiet but still audible CPU cooler fan. So those are the two things in this system producing noise. We disconnect all of these bench fans during noise testing. The noise testing itself does not occur right here where we're standing right now. It's slightly different. We have a very fixed environment to do the noise testing. The dB meter is always positioned 20 inches away from the face of the card. And the same will be true for this, where we're going to show you what it sounds like with the fan at 0 RPM. Of course, it's going to sound like nothing. Auto, 50% and 100% for the fan speeds. And we'll also be recording that noise using our Zoom H6N recorder that we use for all of our audio for video production. And then we mount an XY mic to that. We position it 20 inches away, keep it the same spot, keep it at its maxed out input volume, and then you'll basically be able to hear a subjective difference between the cards to put the decibels into more perspective. Now before that, for the objective difference, we've got a decibel chart that we've put on the screen now. This was discussed in the review, but the short of it is that the passively cooled cards reveal the noise floor about 37.1 dB. And again, that's the PSU and the CPU fan. Once the GPU has some load applied for MSI, the required amount is about 60 degrees Celsius of load. The fans spin up and produce some noise, and auto plants the configuration with the FE card at 37.5 dB. And again, this is total system noise, not per card noise, because we've got the whole system here. And that's as opposed to the 1080 and 1070s, which are at 40.7 dB. 50% fan speed has us at around 38 decibels versus 41.9 for the 1080 and 1070. And 100% speed is where the difference really shows, with the 1080 FE nearly 10 dB louder than the 1060 FE. And we'll put that in perspective just with relation to these charts. 10 dB is perceivable to the user as about a 2x increase in volume. So you can kind of think of it that way because this is logarithmic. So for example, if you're looking at 25 decibels versus 50, that is not 2x. It's actually much greater than 2x. If you're looking at 40 to 50 decibels, then we're talking about a 2x increase in perceived noise levels from the system. So that's the objective analysis. Let's throw this card in. These need to die. They spun their last spin. I'm just gonna launch precision if I can find it. Is the fan spinning right now? Oh, it is spinning. Okay, so we're gonna jump between a couple of audio files of the different cards, playing back. You'll see it play back. And we're gonna be playing them back to back with the, again, 50% to 100% speeds. And that will compare between the 1060, the RX 480, and the 1070. I might throw in one of these 1060 cards as well, just to kind of give you an idea of where those sit, but they're more or less the same as the 1060 FE. Just with a 0 dB output when idle. This is where we go like, that's right. Okay, I think that's it. These video card fans, even though we show 100% speed, keep in mind that they pretty much never actually hit 100% fan speed, unless in the instance of something like an SFF case, like the Origin Chronos we recently reviewed, which was pushing 100% fan speed because it was going so hot in the thermals. So the fans tend to stay around 50% speed. This one will sit at just about 60% in an open air bench environment where it's got reasonable cooling, and that's because as long as it can hit its thermal threshold that it's happy with, which is below 71 Celsius we found in our review, then the fan won't speed up because it doesn't see it as necessary to produce more noise in favor of thermals if the card only really wants a 71C or lower temperature. So that's one note. The card here, this is the Twin Frozer version of the 1060 video card, and these, because of the larger fans and the bigger heatsink, will stick at around 35% fan RPM in our identical bench. So instead of 60%, it's 35, but the fans are completely different. There's two of them, they're bigger. This is a blower fan. These are axial fans, and that's where you get part of the difference. So stuff to know for comparing noise. Of course, if you have a more powerful cooler, you can run it with lower fan RPMs in general. That's where liquid comes into play. We'll show more of that later, but the idea there is that if you wanted to, you could lower the radiator fan RPM pretty low and still have a lower temperature than these. We showed this in our RX 480 or GTX 1070, one of those two benchmarks where we converted it to a hybrid. We showed it there. But yeah, that's it for the subjective noise comparison. Thank you for watching. Patreon links in the post video if you want to help us out directly. Link in the description below for the GTX 1060 review, and I'll see you all next time.